Hello there. Close your eyes and let your soul gently settle. Out there, the world is still busy, but this very moment belongs only to you and to a story of love, of hope, and of farewell, told beneath the moonlight over the endless sea. Imagine yourself sitting on the deck of a great ship, listening to the whispers of the waves, the soft breeze brushing through your hair, and in the distance, a gentle violet moon casting its glow across the water. All worries slowly drift away, leaving only calm breaths and a peaceful heartbeat. The story of the Titanic is not only the tragedy of a ship, but also the journey of an everlasting loved one that warms the heart even through the coldest nights. So, let me tell you the love story on the Titanic, and may each word flow like a gentle wave, carrying you softly into deep and restful sleep. In the spring of 1912, amid the cold waves and silvery moonlight of the North Atlantic, a colossal ship glided gently across the sea. People called it the Titanic, a vessel that the world believed could never sink. Built with extraordinary luxury, it carried thousands of passengers, each with their own story, a dream, and a quiet hope. On its brightly lit decks, the soft music blended with the gentle lapping of the waves, creating a delicate melody for hearts full of curiosity and anticipation. On the first-class deck, amidst rooms adorned with glittering chandeliers and deep red carpets, there was a young woman named Rose. She was the daughter of a wealthy family, pampered yet bound by society's rules and expectations. Rose had eyes like deep, still waters, reflecting both curiosity and a quiet loneliness few could see. She wandered along the deck, her hands lightly resting on the railing, taking a deep breath of the salty sea air, feeling the gentle breeze sweep through her hair. Inside her there was a secret longing to find a freedom she had never truly known, and a love unshackled by money or status. Meanwhile, in third class among passengers with modest belongings, there was a young man named Jack. Jack was a poor artist, carrying a spirit of freedom and hope in his bright eyes. For him, every day on the Titanic was a chance to observe, to draw, to feel life with all his heart. Jack loved freedom, simplicity, and beauty in its purest form, always seeking the extraordinary, even in the ordinary rush and clamor of the world around him. He stood on the deck, gazing at the night sky, seeing the twinkling stars reflected on the sea, imagining countless stories flowing through the colossal ship, like streams of light weaving through the darkness. These two people, from completely different worlds, had never known of each other's existence. One represented wealth and order, the other freedom and spontaneity. Yet fate, like an invisible hand, was quietly weaving invisible threads that would bring them together on this legendary ship. And as night fell, with the soft sound of waves brushing against the hull, Stories of love, sacrifice, and life's most precious moments would slowly unfold. In that moment, Rose felt her heart stir in a way she had never known. And Jack, though unaware of Rose, felt a gentle pull, as if a soul was quietly inviting him closer to destiny. Their eyes would meet for the first time, filled with anticipation. Every step, every glance, every breath carried a silent promise that on this ship, amidst the vast ocean, a love story would be written, a story that time and storm could never erase. And so, on that serene night, as the moonlight danced upon the waters and the sea breeze whispered softly across the decks, the story of Jack and Rose began. A story of love, courage, sacrifice, and moments the heart would never forget. Close your eyes, take a deep, calming breath, and let the waves and gentle words carry you into a world of love and wonder, where every step aboard the Titanic unveils a quiet magic. That night, on the deck of the Titanic, the air was filled with the soft golden glow of the lamps, accompanied by the gentle music from the first-class band. The sea waves lightly lapped against the ship's side, creating a soothing rhythm, as if inviting every heart to step into a world of untold stories. Rose, in a pale pink silk dress, walked slowly along the deck, her eyes sparkling under the lights as she inhaled the salty sea air deeply. A gentle breeze swept through her long hair, giving her a sense of freedom she had never felt before. Rose stopped near the railing, gazing down at the dark water reflecting the moonlight. She smiled quietly to herself, thinking of her luxurious yet constraining life. Despite having everything, she still felt something missing, a genuine conversation, a real laugh, a feeling of being free to choose her own heart. And in that moment, she had no idea that somewhere on this very ship, a person would come and change everything. Jack stood in a corner of the third-class deck, holding a pencil, eyes focused on his sketchbook. The moonlight reflected off the surface of the sea, illuminating his face and bringing every stroke in his sketch to life. Jack loved simple things, the gentle rise and fall of a wave, the glimmer of light on the water, the laughter of children echoing from the deck. Every scene, every glance he observed, became a painting, a small story in his mind. He loved freedom, the moments unbound by money or social status. When Jack looked up, his eyes accidentally met Rose's. She stood there like a living painting, bathed in the golden light and silver moonlight. Jack's heart skipped a beat, a surge of curiosity and wonder rising within him. He had never met anyone like her, a delicate blend of vitality and loneliness, opulence and purity. And Rose, noticing his gaze from the first-class deck below, felt a gentle flutter, as if an invisible thread had tied her heart to a complete stranger. Jack decided to step closer, his feet touching the wooden planks lightly, not wanting to disturb the calm of the night. "Hello," he said, his voice warm yet gentle. Rose turned, slightly surprised, then smiled. "Hello, you are?" she asked softly, as if afraid the sound of the waves might carry her words away. "I'm Jack," he replied, looking at her sincerely. "I was sketching this scene, but it seems you are the most beautiful part of it tonight." Rose smiled, a soft smile that made Jack feel as though his heart might leap from his chest. She looked around the deck, then back at Jack. I never thought someone could find beauty in ordinary things," she said. The sea breeze gently brushed past, like a musical backdrop to this unexpected encounter. They began talking slowly, each word full of curiosity and subtlety. Jack spoke of his past journeys, the paintings he had created, the joy he found in seeing light reflected on the water. Rose shared her days of luxury, the grand parties, but also her loneliness and dreams that had never come true. The air around them seemed to quiet down, leaving only the soft music and the gentle lapping of the waves, creating a private space amid the vast ocean dot. As they talked, they walked along the deck, their hands close but not touching, their eyes sharing untold stories. Every step was a heartbeat, every glance a silent promise that on this ship, among thousands of passengers, fate had begun to write a special story. As the night deepened, the Titanic continued to glide gently across the calm sea, golden lights reflecting on the still waters. Jack and Rose stood side by side, looking up at the night sky, where the stars seemed to twinkle in rhythm with their hearts. Without a word, both felt a magical connection. This was the first moment of a love that was both pure and strong, a love that would carry them through beautiful moments and unprecedented challenges on the vast ocean dot. And so, under the moonlight and the gentle lapping of waves, the first love story of Jack and Rose began softly, slowly, yet full of promise. A story in which every step on the Titanic revealed a small miracle. Every breath contained an emotion never before experienced. The next morning, the soft sunlight of dawn streamed through the large windows on the Titanic's deck, casting a pale golden glow on the wooden floor. The music from the first-class band sparkled in the background, but it did not overpower the gentle sound of the waves outside. Rose stepped out, her light blue dress fluttering in the sea breeze, a gentle excitement filling her heart. She no longer felt the loneliness of the previous night. A new curiosity about the stranger, Jack, lingered in her mind. Jack, as usual, stood in a corner of the third-class deck, holding his sketchbook. He looked up at the clear blue sky, seeing the sunlight reflect off the sea. When his gaze accidentally met Rose's, his heart skipped a beat. She seemed to radiate a gentle light, yet was filled with determination and freedom. Jack smiled softly and stepped toward the first-class deck, where Rose was strolling. "Good morning, Miss Rose," Jack said, his voice warm and gentle, like the whisper of the waves. Rose turned and smiled, a smile that opened a new morning, bringing a sense of calm and wonder. "Good morning, Jack. Are you out early too?" she asked, her eyes bright with curiosity and delight. They walked along the deck together, talking about everything from the smallest details, the sound of the waves, the scent of the sea, to the grand dreams they carried in their hearts. Jack spoke about his previous paintings, the people and places he loved to capture. Rose spoke of her youth, of luxurious parties, but also of the emptiness in her heart that money could never fill. Each story, each smile, brought them closer, as if their souls were in harmony on the vast ocean. They stopped near a quiet corner, where the morning light merged with the sea. Jack quickly sketched Rose gazing out at the water, her hair flowing in the breeze. She looked surprised and laughed, feeling both honored and amused. You think I'm beautiful?" she asked, a hint of shyness in her voice, yet her eyes sparkled. Jack smiled. "Not just beautiful, but free. That's what makes you truly extraordinary." Time seemed to slow. They explored every corner of the Titanic together, the wide hallways with rich red carpets, the luxurious breakfast rooms sparkling with chandelier light, the open deck with the salty sea breeze. Every place they stepped became a vivid painting in Jack's mind, and a precious memory in Rose's heart. In moments of quiet, their eyes met, and the world outside seemed to vanish. No words were needed. A single look was enough to understand each other. Their feelings were not merely initial curiosity, but a deep connection, a stirring in their hearts neither had ever experienced before. At noon on the deck, Jack invited Rose to sit on a long bench overlooking the sea. They shared their secret dreams. Jack wished to paint all the beautiful things in the world. Rose wished to live freely and choose her own life and love. Both felt comforted sharing these thoughts, as if they had finally found someone who truly understood every hidden feeling. And thought, as the sun reflected off the deep blue water. They picked up small seashells together on the deck, creating imaginary stories from them. A shell transformed into a castle. A pebble became a jewel. This small, playful activity made them laugh freely, and for the first time, Rose felt life to be light, free, and joyful. Yet amidst the calm, Rose knew the outside world awaited, family obligations, and the constraints she could not yet abandon. Jack, looking into her eyes, recognized her worry, but also saw the strength and determination within her. He gently took her hand, as if to convey a message. No matter what happens, live for yourself, and let your heart guide you. As evening approached, the sunset dyed the sky and sea in shades of crimson, reflecting the new emotions in their eyes. They sat together on the deck, watching small boats drift along with the waves, while Jack continued to sketch, capturing every fleeting moment. Rose leaned lightly on Jack's shoulder, feeling the warmth and security she had never known. Night fell, and the Titanic continued to glide gently across the calm sea. But Jack and Rose's hearts had begun to beat in sync. A tender love was blossoming, full of curiosity, excitement, and mutual respect. They understood that amid the vast ocean, it might just be the two of them in that present moment. Yet that moment was enough to make their hearts stir and to begin a love story that would carry them through wondrous moments, challenges, and tears on the legendary voyage of the Titanic. And so, with dawn and dusk, with gentle conversations, knowing looks and soft smiles, Jack and Rose's love began to blossom slowly but surely, like a wave softly lapping against the shore. Quiet yet unforgettable, the second day on the Titanic passed under the gentle sunlight of the sea. Yet the hearts of Rose and Jack were no longer as peaceful as the previous morning. They had already felt an indescribable closeness, a feeling both joyful and nervous. As if the rest of the world no longer mattered, Jack led Rose to a quiet corner of the deck, where long benches were arranged away from the crowds. The waves lightly lapped against the side of the ship, and the wind whispered through the railings, creating a natural soundtrack for the moment. Rose sat down, and Jack placed his sketchbook on his lap, preparing to draw her. "Will you not laugh?" Rose asked, her voice slightly trembling. Jack looked at her, eyes full of sincerity and warmth. "I only want to capture what I see as the most beautiful. And to me that is you, Rose." She smiled, feeling her heart flutter, yet a rare sense of trust blossomed within her. Jack began to sketch, each pencil stroke telling a small story. Rose watched quietly, occasionally glancing at the sea, letting the breeze and natural light mingle with her emotions. Every minute that passed, the distance between them seemed to vanish. There were no class divisions, no social barriers, only two hearts beating in sync on this enormous ship. After hours of talking and drawing, Jack gently took Rose's hand. "Do you know why I love this feeling?" he asked. Rose turned to him, eyes sparkling with curiosity. Jack continued, "Because here we are just ourselves. No judgments, no constraints. We are free, and freedom is the most precious thing." Rose felt every word he spoke, and a wave of happiness surged in her chest. She wanted to laugh, to cry, to embrace the moment fully. They did not need promises, just each other's presence was enough. But not everything was peaceful. While Jack and Rose were immersed in their own world, life around them continued with all its social expectations. She remembered her family, her obligations, and what was expected of her. Those worries were like small waves, quietly nudging her mind, reminding her that life was more than dreamy moments on the deck. Seeing the hesitation in Rose's eyes, Jack did not rush to speak. He merely placed his hand on her shoulder, conveying a sense of calm. "We will face everything together, but for now, let's just enjoy this moment," he said, his voice warm and steady. Rose nodded, feeling relief settle into her heart, as if all her worries had temporarily drifted away with the sea breeze. As the afternoon sun bathed the deck in golden light, Jack and Rose strolled, hands close, but not yet touching. a mix of excitement and shyness in the air. They exchanged knowing smiles and glances, and with each passing moment, their bond deepened. It was no longer mere curiosity. It had become a spiritual connection, a harmony of souls and emotions. On the deck, they discovered an empty lifeboat where the sunset light cast long shadows across the wooden floor. Jack carefully led Rose inside, and they sat down, leaning against the side. The sea breeze gently tousled their hair, carrying the scent of salt and freedom. Words were unnecessary. Their silent presence was enough. Yet the first challenge soon arrived. Rose noticed her mother from a distance, watching them with a serious and concerned expression. A wave of anxiety crept into her heart. Was this affection allowed? Was she going too far beyond the rules society had imposed? She felt a moment of uncertainty, but Jack placed his hand over hers, gently reminding her, "Listen to your heart. Rose, it will guide us." Rose took a deep breath, feeling every heartbeat, every gust of wind, and realized that her feelings for Jack could not be denied. A soft smile appeared on her lips, her gaze becoming more determined. Together they watched the sunset, the crimson sky reflecting in their eyes the warmth, understanding, and trust they shared. As night fell, the Titanic continued to glide gently across the calm sea. But in that moment, Jack and Rose had faced their first challenge, maintaining their love amidst societal constraints and watchful eyes. They understood that love was not only passion, but also patience, understanding, and the courage to face the first test together. And so, with dawn and dusk, with quiet conversations, knowing glances and soft smiles, the love of Jack and Rose continued to blossom gradually, subtly like a wave gently lapping against the shore, quiet, yet unforgettable. The fourth night on the Titanic descended like a velvet blanket, covering the ship with silver light from the moon and stars reflecting on the sea. On deck, couples strolled, laughter and soft music drifting from the distant music room. But Jack and Rose found a quiet space for themselves, where the sea breeze blew freely, carrying the scent of salt and freedom. Rose lightly draped a thin cloak over her shoulders, eyes fixed on the horizon where the moon shimmered on the water. Her heart still raced, not with fear, but with the closeness she felt with Jack, who had become an inseparable part of every heartbeat. Jack stood beside her, sketchbook in hand, but he did not draw. He simply watched her, his gaze deep and steady, as if wanting to capture every gesture, every emotion that words could not convey. "Do you see how beautiful the night sea is?" Jack whispered, his voice blending with the sound of the waves. Rose smiled, feeling a sense of peace settle over her. "It's beautiful, but perhaps even more beautiful with you here," she said softly, a quiet tone, yet enough for Jack to sense her heart. He smiled and gently took her hand, warm and reassuring. They walked along the deck, hands close but not yet touching, a playful mix of shyness and anticipation. Each step was a rhythm of emotion, each glance exchanged like an unspoken promise. Words were unnecessary. Just being together, they understood each other deeply. Their hearts in harmony, the deep night brought the first real challenge, not from the sea or the ship, but from carelessness and the ever-lurking social expectations. Rose knew her mother was still watching, and the fear of being discovered, bound by the rules of class, made her hesitant. Every step closer to Jack made her heart race, torn between desire and fear. Jack noticed her anxious gaze. He gently stopped, placing his hand on her shoulder. "Rose, you don't need to worry about anything right now. Let your heart guide you, and everything else. We'll face it together," he said. She took a deep breath, feeling each heartbeat, each breeze, and a smile gradually returned. Her trust in Jack was enough to ease her fears, at least for now. They found a narrow corner of the deck, where moonlight cast strange patterns on the wooden floor. Jack sat down, drawing Rose beside him. They did not need words. They simply watched the moonlit sea, feeling the gentle rhythm of the waves. Jack sketched a few quick lines, not to complete a drawing, but to preserve the moment, the peace, the closeness, and the sensation of their hearts inching nearer than ever. Occasionally, a passing small boat or a seabird made them chuckle lightly, but their joy was tinged with suspense. Rose knew that every moment close to Jack was precious, yet fragile, like moonlight on the water, beautiful, but easily fading. As the night deepened, the deck grew so silent that only the sound of the waves lapping against the hull and their own breathing could be heard. Jack looked straight into Rose's eyes, his voice low and warm. "Rose, I want you to know that in any situation I will be by your side. No one can take this away from us." Rose nodded lightly, a sense of safety spreading through her. His words were like a warm blanket in the midnight sea, making her believe that no matter what challenges came, they would face them together. But the true challenge came not from outside, but within, from hesitation, from the limits society had set, and from the fear of losing the freedom Rose had begun to taste. She hesitated, her heart racing, glancing at Jack and around her, afraid the moment would be interrupted. Jack, understanding her worries, did not push. He simply held her hand tighter, reminding her to breathe deeply and trust the moment. They sat together, silent and close, every small gesture speaking what words could not. Fingers brushing lightly, glances exchanged, shy but sincere smiles, all created a private language just for the two of them. This was when their love truly deepened, no longer a game or curiosity, but a soulful connection. Finally, as the moon rose high, silver light bathing the sea, Rose leaned gently against Jack's shoulder, feeling his warmth spread through her. They sat there, watching the waves shimmer in the moonlight, listening to the gentle night breeze. The first challenge had passed, but they knew that on this immense ship, more challenges awaited. Yet they had learned to face them together with patience, trust, and sincere love. And so, amidst the night sea, the love of Jack and Rose continued to grow, quiet yet powerful, like waves lapping against the hull, carrying hope, anxiety, and belief in the days to come. Every fleeting moment together became an unforgettable memory, a small, warm story full of challenge and sweetness. The fifth day on the Titanic began like any other, with the morning sun glinting off the vast expanse of ocean and casting golden reflections across the decks. Yet, beneath the surface of calm waters and cheerful laughter, an unseen tension simmered, subtle, almost imperceptible, like the quiet hum before a storm. Jack and Rose awoke early, eager to spend a few stolen hours together before the world of social obligations and rigid rules claimed them again. They met near the bow, where the wind carried the scent of salt and the freedom of open seas. For a few moments it felt as if the ship belonged only to them, a private world where time slowed and nothing else mattered. Jack took out his sketchbook again, but this time he paused. He looked at Rose with a mixture of seriousness and tenderness. "I feel that something is coming," he said softly, his voice barely above the whisper of waves. Rose frowned slightly, her heart tightening. She knew the feeling he described, an unease that seemed to hover in the air, invisible yet undeniable. Despite the unease, they chose to seize the moment. They walked along the deck, hands entwined this time, letting the rhythm of their footsteps echo the beating of their hearts. They talked quietly about trivial things and small dreams, but every word carried a depth of meaning. Each glance, each laugh, was a reminder that they had found solace in each other's presence. By late morning, the ship was alive with activity. Passengers in luxurious attire laughed, sipped champagne, and moved about as if the Titanic were an eternal kingdom. Jack and Rose navigated carefully, aware that every eye could notice them, every whisper could carry judgment. Yet they had learned to create pockets of privacy, corners of intimacy where no one could intrude. As the afternoon wore on, the sun climbed higher, and the first signs of a subtle change in the atmosphere appeared. The wind shifted, rushing against their faces in unexpected gusts, and the distant horizon seemed slightly blurred, as though the sea itself was holding its breath. Jack noticed the change first and instinctively pulled Rose closer. "It feels different," he murmured, "like the calm before something significant." Rose's fingers tightened around his hand, a mixture of apprehension and trust. "Jack, do you think something will happen?" Her voice was quiet, almost fearful, yet unyielding. Jack shook his head gently, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Whatever comes, we face it together. That is what matters. Nothing else can separate us if we stay close." The hours passed, and the subtle tension in the air gradually grew into something more tangible. Crew members began moving with slightly more urgency, checking ropes and machinery, exchanging words in low tones that passengers could not hear. Some seasoned travelers, accustomed to reading the sea and sky, cast wary glances toward the horizon. Jack and Rose, still together, could sense the change. It was as if the ship itself had become aware of the coming uncertainty, whispering warnings only to those willing to listen. Rose's heart beat faster, but it was not fear alone, it was also anticipation. The knowledge that life, with all its unpredictable twists, was about to test them in ways they had never imagined. As evening approached, the sky shifted into a palette of deep blues and purples. The wind picked up, carrying a sharp chill that made the warmth of the afternoon feel like a distant memory. Passengers gathered on deck to witness the changing sky, unaware of the undercurrent of tension that Jack and Rose felt so acutely. They found a secluded corner near the stern where the roar of the ship's engines was muffled by distance. Here, Jack wrapped his coat around Rose, holding her close as if shielding her from not only the chill, but also the invisible pressure of the impending storm. The intimacy of the moment was profound, but so was the awareness that their peaceful world was fragile. "Rose," Jack whispered, "I need you to promise me something." She looked up, her eyes wide with curiosity and a trace of worry. "No matter what happens, stay with me. Keep your heart open and don't let fear control you." Rose felt the weight of his words, and though uncertainty tugged at her, she nodded. "I promise, Jack, whatever comes, I won't let go." For a brief moment they allowed themselves to forget the world and the silent warning that seemed to hover on the horizon. They talked of dreams of travel, art, freedom, and a life unbound by social constraints. They laughed softly at shared jokes, whispered secrets, and reveled in the warmth of each other's presence. It was a sanctuary of love, built in the fleeting hours of daylight fading into night. But as night fell, the first real signs of danger appeared. The sea, previously calm, began to ripple with subtle, restless waves. Crew members moved with increasing urgency, and the once distant horizon now carried a darkness that seemed to press against the Titanic itself. Passengers still laughed and mingled, unaware of the shift, but Jack and Rose felt it keenly, like a pulse through the very floorboards beneath them. They stood together at the bow, holding hands, letting the cold wind bite gently at their cheeks. Jack whispered reassurances, his voice a steady anchor amid the rising tension. Rose leaned into him, feeling the truth of his words and the steady beat of his heart. They were together, and for now that was enough. The night deepened, and the first stars appeared, their light fragile against the encroaching shadow of the sea. Jack and Rose knew that the true test of their love, their courage, and their trust was on the horizon. The rising storm was not only of nature, but of fate, of society, and of the unknown that awaited them beyond the deck's edge. Yet even as the first hints of danger stirred, they remained steadfast, united by an invisible bond stronger than fear itself. Every glance, every brush of a hand, Every shared breath became a silent promise that no matter what the world or the sea threw at them, they would face it together. And so, as the Titanic sailed into the night, beneath a sky both beautiful and ominous, the love of Jack and Rose was tested for the first time against the stirrings of fate. The rising storm promised not only peril, but also the awakening of courage, resilience, and a depth of feeling neither had known before. Each moment, though quiet, carried the weight of what was to come, a blend of tenderness, tension, and the sweet certainty that their hearts were intertwined, come what may. That night on the Titanic began with a strange stillness. The bright moon reflected on the water, shimmering like a vast, endless mirror. On deck, passengers moved about, talking and laughing. But in the air was a vague sense of unease. Those sensitive to the sea and sky could sense that something was off, a subtle change that the eye could hardly notice. Jack and Rose were still together, walking along the main deck. Hand in hand, they listened to the gentle waves lapping against the ship, savoring the fleeting peace before everything changed. Jack observed each ripple, feeling the cold creeping into the air, and deep down he knew that tonight would not be ordinary. "Rose," Jack whispered, his voice low and gentle. "Do you feel it? Not fear, but as if the sea is warning us?" Rose nodded, sensing a quiet unease spreading through her body. "You're right, Jack. The air feels strange." They remained silent for a moment, breathing deeply together, trying to enjoy the last moments before the storm of fate drew near. Around midnight, when most passengers were asleep, the ship glided over a sudden cold patch of water. A sharp, subtle impact rang out from the bow, not enough to cause immediate panic, but enough to awaken alertness. Jack felt the vibration underfoot and drew Rose close. "Don't worry, Rose, we'll be fine. Just a light bump," he said, though his eyes betrayed a hidden worry. A faint announcement sounded from the bridge, a precautionary alert for the crew. The crew moved quickly, checking the situation and exchanging hurried, discreet words. In that moment, Jack and Rose sensed clearly that everything was about to change, and they needed to prepare for the most challenging hours of their lives. Rose gripped Jack's hand tightly, her wide eyes meeting his. "Jack, I'm scared," she whispered, her voice trembling, but Jack lowered his head, gently brushing her hair back. "You don't need to be afraid, Rose. We're together, and that's all that matters." They took a deep breath, letting calmness spread amid the quiet panic. As the clock approached midnight, the real storm began. A stronger impact shook the Titanic. Passengers near the bow felt the tremor distinctly. People began waking, eyes widening with alarm. Jack held Rose close, scanning their surroundings, realizing the ship had struck a massive iceberg. Lights flickered across the ship. Screams erupted briefly, but were quickly reassured by the crew. Jack whispered to Rose. "We must follow instructions, but first, stay calm." Rose leaned on him, feeling the truth in the steady rhythm of his heartbeat, a beacon in the dark and chaotic night. The crew began emergency procedures. Passengers were guided to put on life jackets and move toward lifeboats. Jack and Rose knew they had to separate from the crowd, but could not leave each other. They navigated the dim corridors, listening to the waves, the engine's groans, and occasionally faint cries echoing through the cold air. They reached the upper deck, where the first lifeboats were being lowered. Rose shivered, but Jack remained beside her, holding her hand, comforting her with his soft gaze and gentle words. "You're not alone, Rose. I'm here, and we'll face this together." His words were like a small flame against the cold wind, warming their hearts' as the lifeboat began its descent. Jack looked at Rose with unwavering determination. "You must go first. I'll find a way to follow." Rose shook her head fiercely, tears falling. "No, we must stay together, Jack. You can't leave me behind." Jack smiled faintly, though his heart ached. "Just stay safe first. I won't leave you." They embraced tightly, trying to convey all their warmth and love in that moment. The lifeboat carried Rose away from the danger zone. Jack stood on deck, watching her disappear amid the flickering lights of the ship, his heart heavy but resolute. The night on the ocean grew eerily quiet. The sounds of the waves and wind mingled with the moonlight, casting a cold glow on the water. The Titanic tilted slightly. Sounds seemed distant, but the presence of Jack and Rose, even temporarily apart, remained a connection that could not be broken. In that moment, all fear, confusion, and danger seemed to subside, making way for love, courage, and the faint glimmer of hope. They had survived the fateful night, facing the greatest challenge of their lives, and their bond had grown stronger than ever. Jack silently promised himself, in the cold vastness of the ocean, that nothing would ever separate them. Rose, sitting in the lifeboat, felt the calmness radiating from the memory of Jack's hand, his gaze, and the love they shared. That night, the Titanic glided across the dark ocean, the moonlight reflecting on the water, and a story of enduring love had just passed its first test, the storm of fate, carrying danger but also revealing the strength of heart, love, and courage in the most perilous moments. The night had grown darker, colder, and the vast Atlantic seemed endless, reflecting the pale, trembling light of the moon. The Titanic, once a symbol of human ambition and luxury, now trembled under the weight of the iceberg it had struck. Panic whispered through the corridors and decks, though many still tried to keep calm, trusting the ship's grandeur to see them through. Jack, standing on the deck, felt the icy wind on his face and the immense responsibility of the moment. He knew the hours ahead would demand courage and presence of mind. Beside him, the memory of Rose, safe in a lifeboat, filled him with warmth but also a quiet sorrow. He had promised her safety. Now he had to face the unimaginable, The crew and passengers hurriedly organized evacuation. Lifeboats were being lowered, some only half full, some filled with uncertainty and fear. The creaking of the ship, the muffled shouts, and the lapping waves created a strange symphony, a lullaby of danger and urgency. Jack helped guide passengers, encouraging those too afraid to move, comforting children and the elderly. Below deck, chaos was more intense. People were confused, pressed against doors, unsure which path would lead them to safety. Jack found himself navigating the labyrinth of corridors, helping a small group find a route to the upper decks. The once luxurious interior of the ship now felt like a maze, echoing with cries and hurried footsteps. Dot in the lifeboat, where Rose sat, the fear of the unknown mingled with hope. She held tightly to the railing, thinking of Jack. Every creak of the ship above reminded her of the peril he faced. Her heart, though anxious, drew strength from the memory of his calm presence, his reassuring words, and the promise that they would endure this night together. Back on deck, Jack moved with determination, guiding people and assessing the ship's tilting. Water was beginning to seep through compartments, icy and relentless. A realization struck him. Time was running out. Yet amidst the urgency, Jack's mind never left Rose. He knew she had the lifeboat, that she was relatively safe, and that gave him focus. A sense of purpose amidst chaos. As the ship's stern began to rise higher from the ocean. The roar of water and metal filled the air. Crew members shouted instructions, encouraging people to remain calm, yet fear was inevitable. Jack stayed with the group near the stern, helping passengers cling to hope and each other. The sense of finality weighed on everyone, but Jack's courage remained a beacon. Rose, watching from afar, saw the looming silhouette of the ship, the lights flickering in the cold darkness. She clutched the rope of the lifeboat, listening to the distant sounds, the shouts, the creaks, the whispers of the waves. She whispered Jack's name, sending a silent prayer across the dark water, wishing for his safety, hoping for a reunion she feared might never come. Jack found himself near the last lifeboats being lowered, exhausted but resolute. He helped lift passengers down, ensuring that no one was left behind. Each face he guided into safety reminded him of the preciousness of life, of love, of the fragile thread that connects human hearts in times of peril. As the Titanic's bow dipped further, the night air grew sharper, colder, filled with the scent of the icy sea. Jack knew the inevitable was near. He moved to a spot where he could see the lifeboats in the distance, hoping Rose's boat was steady, drifting safely. In his heart, he clung to the memory of their shared moments, the warmth of her hand, the gentle rhythm of her heartbeat. The ship's final moments were a mixture of chaos and calm, despair and heroism. People held each other close, whispered reassurances, and faced the unthinkable with courage. Jack, standing amid the final surge of water and the tilt of the mighty vessel, felt a quiet strength within a strength born of love, of purpose. of unwavering resolve. As the Titanic sank lower into the dark Atlantic, Jack ensured that every possible lifeboat was deployed, that every passenger near him was safe. Finally, the icy waves surrounded him, but even in that moment his thoughts remained with Rose. She was alive. She would remember him. She would survive. From the lifeboat, Rose watched the ship disappear beneath the waves, tears streaming, heart heavy yet filled with gratitude. She felt Jack's presence in her mind, his courage, his love. That night she understood the power of a bond forged in the face of disaster, the quiet strength that love can give, even when separated by oceans and fate. The sea, calm yet relentless, held the Titanic in its icy embrace. And amidst the darkness, the story of Jack and Rose, their courage, their love, their unyielding hope, became a whisper carried across the waves, a tale of humanity's resilience, of love's enduring light in the face of unimaginable tragedy. As the night slowly passed, the ocean remained cold and calm. The stars in the sky shone like faint lights, reflecting on the tranquil waters. On the lifeboat, Rose sat wrapped in a warm blanket, her eyes still fixed on the spot where the Titanic had sunk, where Jack had stood for the last time. A mixture of emptiness, sorrow, and gratitude filled her heart. Like a sad yet beautiful melody, she remembered every moment with Jack, the whispered words on the deck, the warmth of his hand, his calm and courageous gaze. These memories brought Rose a strange comfort, like a small flame amid the cold ocean night. Gradually, dawn broke. The first rays of sunlight stretched across the water, painting the waves in soft shades of gold. Rose took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of sunlight for the first time after a night of terror. Her heart felt lighter, and hope began to rise again. The distant sounds of rescue ship whistles grew louder, bringing everyone back to reality. A large ship approached, carrying survivors, reassurances, and a sense of peace. Rose felt her heart leap, knowing this was the moment she had been waiting for, the moment of safety, the moment of rescue. As she was lifted onto the rescue ship, Rose looked around at familiar and unfamiliar faces, all filled with emotion, exhaustion, but alive. She felt a profound gratitude for life and for everything she had endured. The Titanic, with all its grandeur and tragedy, had left an indelible mark on her heart, a lesson in courage and a testament to the power of love. Rose held the blanket close, breathing the fresh air for the first time after the harrowing night, and gazed out at the sea. Although Jack was no longer with her, she still felt his presence in her heart, in every heartbeat, in every sweet memory. The love and memories of him had become a guiding light, leading her through the dark night. In the days that followed, Rose shared her story, not just the tragedy of the Titanic, but the courage, sacrifice, and love that overcame every challenge. Her story became a reminder, even in the darkest moments, there is light And even in the deepest fear, there is courage that Rose knew that no matter where life took her, the memories of Jack and that night on the Titanic would always remain the most important part of her heart, a story of love, sacrifice, and inner strength that she would tell over and over, like a gentle lullaby for herself and for those who wanted to listen. And so, under the warm rays of dawn, Rose smiled, her heart full of gratitude, beginning a new chapter of her life, carrying with her love, memories, and strength from that harrowing night, stepping forward with courage and hope.